Alright, hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. This, of course, is another anime reaction video. Today, we are getting into the penultimate Noragami reaction for the first season. That's right, we're getting into episodes 9 and 10. Jesus. It always kind of gets to me how fast we get through these, because thinking about the history of my channel so far, it hasn't even been a year since I've done reactions, you know. But my very first series was Gintama, obviously, and I'm not even close to being halfway through that series. You know, Haikyuu, Season 3 obviously was only 10 episodes, so was Scissor 7 Season 3. But now that I've gotten more consistent, it's just so weird getting through these, like, 12-episode seasons so quickly, because even Haikyuu Season 4 took a bit longer, because that was 25 episodes. It's just weird that we're going to be coming up on 2 series being completely finished in the coming weeks, and 1 series where we're going into a second season, which will take about the same amount of time to finish. So then we'll be done for that series for the time being, unless we do manga for Noragami. Wink, wink, wink. But it's so cool, not cool, surreal rather. But in the last few episodes of Noragami, we sort of started going back into a slightly more episodic series in a sense, not exactly episodic, but focusing on at least in episode 8 we were focusing on a story that didn't really apply to the rest of the series, you know, didn't really directly connect to everything else, but some of the lessons we learned and some of the character moments related to the sort of like overarching like character development of certain characters throughout the series, which is really cool to see. Specifically, the relationship between Yato and Yuki. That seems to be like the main through line of this entire season, is just the troubled relationship between the two, and then slightly learning about Yato's past to help sort of maybe explain why, you know, conflict in regards to Yato's past. So we're getting very close. I imagine by the end of the season we're gonna have some climactic moment where we can come together and understand each other better and fight off a big bad or something like that together, you know. And then that'll be the end of this. That'll be the satisfying conclusion to the season before we go on to season 2. But I don't know for sure. Either way, as always, unless you're new here, the links down in the description below will take you to the full-length uncut reaction, so you can go ahead and watch the reaction by following one of those links, and come back to YouTube for the discussion. So, without further ado, let's get started with episode 9 of season 1 of Noragami. As I was saying, that was a goddamn fantastic episode. I really loved it. That was such a satisfying conclusion to like the conflict brewing between Yato and Yuki that had been building up for so long. And you know what? I don't know if it was on purpose, and I'm thinking now it wasn't on purpose, but I kind of wish it was on purpose. The swing set was just Yuki there alone. I really feel like that was supposed to symbolize him feeling like he was all alone, because he had been brought to this park, to these swings, by other people, and because he's wearing his jacket that he was wearing when he's in his normal human form, when he's not a regalia or whatever. He's wearing his winter jacket. So that's after he was turned into a regalia by Yato, and he was brought there, but now he's just sitting there all alone on the swings built for 3, when they should be there with him. And that was one of the biggest like problems that Yukine was having, in that nobody really understood him. So that kind of like, you know, visual symbolism. Nobody would sit next to him on the swings because they were so distant from him, and so distant to the point where they're nowhere to be seen in the park. They're not even watching him. They're just completely distant. So instead of waiting for them to come back or something like that, he decides, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm leaving here. And so I was kind of hoping they would continue that sort of visual metaphor of the swings by when he turns back around from walking that path, they're there on the swings, or they're at least around in the area of the swings with, I don't know, some snacks or something, because they had only been gone to go pick up snacks at a konbini or something like that. You know, that would have been like a fun little visual metaphor, and it would have been really sweet, and I really feel like that would have, how would I put it? They would have really driven home that sort of group friendship vibe, or like aura, or what's the word I'm looking for? I'll go with vibe for now. That their whole relationship had, and Hiyori brought it up herself. Father and son, like Yato is acting like Yuki's father, could have also been like that. Like they were that Hiyori and Yato are Yuki's parents, and they just had to go off for a second to go get a snack because Yuki was hungry, and they took a little bit longer than Yuki was hoping for, and he just felt like he was alone type thing. But the fact that Bishamon slightly reacted, like she had her eyes closed, and then she opened them up again, I get the feeling she knows. And honestly, if she knows, it's definitely going to add more intrigue to her character and her relationship to Yato, because she's very aggressive towards Yato. She wants to kill him. But if she knows about Hiyori begging for Kazuma-san to, because she's supposed to be like the one in control of her regalia, so she's gotta know something's up, right? So if she does, or maybe doesn't know, but if she does know, that would be an interesting thing, or that, and it could just be a case where she's like, I just let him go because I want to be the one to kill Yato, not some fucking blight, you know? But it may be, I don't know, because I was about to say underlying respect between the characters, but then I realized, no, that's probably not true. He killed one of her regalias. But either way, this just whole episode was the perfect like conclusion to like Yuki's like sort of character arc. I don't know where he's gonna go further or in the future of the series in terms of his character, but it'll be really interesting to see, especially now that we're getting teased with Nora and Rabbit. Now that we're getting teased with Nora and Rabbit apparently going to be doing something in regards to Yato, and I think, and I'm not going back to check because that's too much work, because I don't even remember where or which episode or where in that specific episode we actually saw the person in the background when we were getting the explanation about Yato's past from Ebisu. But the hair, it looks kind of similar. Also, real quick, I think it was episode 7 and 8 when there's like a slight change up in the OP. Just, I don't even remember where it was. I'd have to like, hold on. Yeah, here we go. Episode 8. It changed from Yato and Nora standing together to Nora and Rabo standing together. In episode 7, it looked different. Now, real quick, I also want to check something, if I can find it again. I don't know if I will, because it's very... Pop Player is weird in how they use their playback or whatever thing. Okay, so in this shot here... Okay, so it was in episode 8. I just don't think I recognized it in episode 8, or when I reacted to episode 8, but Rabo was standing there facing Yato instead, when in the... fuck off. Sorry. In the original version of the opening, if it would hurry up and get there, because for some reason Pod Player doesn't let me be precise, it's Yato and Nora. So the significance behind that is not clear to me yet, but I'm really excited to figure out what that might be in the future of watching this series. So that was pretty much everything I had to say about this episode, so I'm going to get straight into episode 10 of Noragami. Fuck, dude. Alright, so I was ranting about it in the ED. In case you skipped that, I'm so pissed off that this had to be the episode where they had a cliffhanger. Because episode 8 was kind of a cliffhanger too. It was. And then it got concluded in episode 9. And then it was great seeing a bit of the aftermath to that. You know, fucking... God damn it. Proud parents. Very proud parents. But just seeing Yuki trying to make up for his past mistakes. Well, past mistakes. His mistakes when he was a regalia and he was a bit of a rebellious teenager. It was awesome to see him start to try and make that up. And then, you know, seeing him trying to study, working together with Yato, getting along with him a lot better, in fact. You know, seeing them at their, well, maybe not their full potential yet, but seeing them work together so well, fighting against phantoms, that was just so good. And it was such a nice little extra to have, concluding, or after, it was almost like an epilogue of sorts to what happened in episode 9, but they just had to sprinkle in little bits and pieces here and there about, you know, about Rabo, who makes people disappear, you know, and the street slashing, which street slashing Unless it's just referring to the shit that Rabo was doing to make people disappear, like people were asking him to. I'm not really sure, but they set that up to just sort of like put us on our toes, put us like, oh, something bad's gonna happen. Things are going too well right now. You know what I mean? And of course, it wasn't going well. Of course, we had to meet up with Rabo, and you know, all things considered, it wasn't even the worst thing. Which is gonna be interesting to see how the last 2 episodes play out, considering at least Rabo's attack on Yato and Yuki wasn't that big of a deal, so to speak. It was just some scorpions that we could easily handle. But what was a fucking pain in the ass to have to deal with was Nora. And you know what? I don't know what her game is. I don't know what she wants out of this. Nora's obviously jealous of the closeness that Yukine and Yato have with Yato, right? Yukine and Hiyori. Did I say? I don't know if I said. Yukine and Hiyori have a closeness to Yato that she's jealous of. That's what she was saying. She doesn't like Hiyori because she's close to Yato, and she believes that Yato is somehow weaker because of it. And you know what? Maybe he'll be a lot more reluctant, if completely unwilling, to kill people or regalias. So if that's what she means by he's weaker now, then sure, he's right. But that wasn't Hiyori's fault. But then she mentioned to him, just stop existing. And that's almost, you know what? That shot of her putting her hand on Hiyori's face, which is, first of all, what I assumed what she did was she forcibly cut her ties with Yato. And I assume that's why Hiyori doesn't recognize Yato there at the end. But it kind of mimics a shot from the opening that, if I could find, would be nice. Let's see. There we go. At least, well, she did it with one hand to Hiyori, but here in the opening, she's doing it to Yato with 2 hands. But the thing to note is that Yato has the same sort of empty look in his eyes that Hiyori kind of has in the scene where, well, maybe it's because it's a faraway shot, but yeah, that kind of look in her eyes, it's kind of similar. So it makes me think that maybe they're gonna be in a position where something's gonna happen to Yato at the hands of Nora. Not for sure, obviously, but fuck, man, I'm really scared about what's gonna happen in the future now, because Tenjin was suggesting he do something similar, if that's what Nora did, to help cure her, like, her situation, so to speak, but he didn't actually do it, because I assume that would mean that she would forget about him, and I don't think he would want that either, because they've gotten close, whether it be, you know, just like friendly or like romantic. All the people that shipped them together, you interpret what you will, but they're close. So the idea of solving her problem by completely cutting off any kind of communication they can have together would probably not be something that's attractive to him, even if it would fulfill his goal or whatever. And you know what? That would be a depressing way to end the series entirely, is to have them have one final goodbye and never see each other again, you know, type thing. That'd be really depressing. But either way, I think it's really interesting, the sort of and not only that, but they also showed off the powers that Nora and Rabo have. Rabo has seemingly like he has like a collection of small little phantoms that he keeps around in jars, and then he releases them in their bigger forms to attack people. And I don't know if it's necessarily the same kind of thing Nora was doing with the dogs and her masks or whatever. I think she called them the masked ones. But what's really interesting is that at the very least, Nora is a regalia. So obviously, regalias have unique properties, like, you know, unless they can change into multiple shapes or something. Kazuma, it looks like he's just Bishamon's earrings, so that he can give her like advice and like information. Kuraha, I believe, is a goddamn lion. Then there's the 2 guns and then the whip. So, and fucking, we haven't seen Nora's regalia form yet, though I assume it's like a katana because of the flashback that we got that Ebisu was telling us about. But the fact that she has a power, because the only other power we've really seen Regalias have is, you know, the borderline that Yuki knows, and that pretty much every Regalia knows. But what's curious is unless this is an external thing, and it's not necessarily related to a Regalia's like innate powers, that would also be an interesting to place or to take things. But if a Regalia themselves had more powers than just creating a borderline that Phantoms can't cross, then we're setting up for potential for tons of unique Regalia with their own unique powers other than borderline, including Yuki, which would be really interesting. But I don't know. I might just be talking on my ass right now. But that's pretty much all I had to say about this episode. So if you watched all the way to the end, thank you very much for watching. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss a single upload in the future. Thank you once again for watching. Peace.